What if the fight for financial freedom isn't happening in your bank account, but in your bloodstream? What if poverty isn't just a number, but a neurological state? We need to talk about this, because what this science is starting to reveal, well, it's deeply unsettling.
Just let that sink in for a moment. This single idea reframes the entire problem. It suggests that your financial reality is just a symptom, a lagging indicator of a much deeper issue, a problem that's rooted in your own physiology.
So let's start right there with this core idea, the thesis that being poor isn't just about not having enough resources. It's about being trapped in a physiological prison that is actively, chemically, working against your success. This is where we get to the concept of a cortisol tax. You see, when you're constantly worried about rent or bills or just making it through the week, your brain is flooded with the stress hormone cortisol. And this isn't just a feeling of anxiety, it's a chemical attack. It literally levies a tax on the one asset you need most, your ability to think clearly. And the cost of this tax is staggering. Research shows that just being preoccupied with money problems can drop your functional IQ by as much as 13 points. To put that in perspective, that's the same cognitive hit you'd take from losing an entire night of sleep. You're trying to solve your biggest problems with a handicapped brain.
So how does this actually happen on a micro level? How does this chemical state hijack the very organ you need to escape the trap? Let's look at the brain.
Think of your brain as having two competing systems. You've got the prefrontal cortex, that's the CEO. It handles long-term planning, impulse control, complex thought. But then you've got the amygdala, that's the ancient panic button, focused only on immediate threats and survival. Well, that cortisol tax we just talked about, it basically knocks the CEO unconscious and puts a terrified, impulsive intern in charge of your life. This state of panic then leads directly to what some are calling dopamine bankruptcy. When you're constantly in survival mode, your brain is starved for any kind of relief, and it demands a quick hit of dopamine to counteract all that cortisol. This reframes so-called poverty spending not as some kind of character flaw, but as what it really is, a desperate biological coping mechanism. And this kicks off a really nasty, vicious cycle. First, you feel the stress of being broke. Your brain then craves dopamine to numb that pain. So you make an impulse purchase, a new phone, some expensive takeout. You get that temporary spike of relief, but then it crashes and you're left with even more financial stress than before. The purchase wasn't a financial decision, it was an anesthetic.
To make matters even worse, this is all compounded by a little feature of our wiring called loss aversion. Neuroscientists have shown that the psychological pain of losing a dollar is twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining a dollar. Your ancient brain is programmed to overestimate risk and underestimate reward, paralyzing you from taking the very actions you need to get ahead.
But it's not just about the brain in isolation. Let's zoom out and look at the entire physiological system that fuels it. Because your brain can't perform miracles in a body that's breaking down. This quote really just says it all. The modern diet, which is just filled with what sources are calling industrial nutritional sludge, creates a state of chronic exhaustion. This isn't laziness. It's a physiological state that makes the high energy output required for success totally impossible. You see, a diet that's high in refined sugars and industrial seed oils traps you in what's being called the insulin prison. Your body is swimming in energy, but your cells can't actually access it. And the result? Catastrophic brain fog. You literally cannot think about a 5-year plan when your biology is screaming for its next sugar hit. Poor nutrition chemically blinds you to your own future. And then there's this. Just look at this data. Testosterone levels in men have been in an absolute free fall for decades. Now, this isn't just a health issue, it's an economic one. Testosterone is the biochemical driver of things like risk tolerance, ambition, and effort. Its collapse is being described as a kind of chemical castration that crushes the very aggression needed to build wealth and challenge the system. Okay, so we've looked at the individual biology. Now let's zoom out to the macro level. How is the modern economy specifically engineered to prey on these biological vulnerabilities we've just laid out? This system is practically built to exploit dopamine bankruptcy. It removes the pain of paying with frictionless one-click purchases. It uses powerful algorithms to create cravings you didn't even know you had. It triggers social envy to make you feel inadequate, and then it locks you into debt. It's a coordinated attack plan designed to keep you in a constant state of dopamine hunger.
And so the defense is completely counterintuitive. In our culture, we're taught to flash wealth, but costly signaling, showing off logos and luxury goods, it just makes you a target. It signals to financial predators that you're a mark.
The truly wealthy often practice a kind of financial camouflage because they understand that in the jungle of modern capitalism, invisibility is the ultimate power.
So, after this pretty bleak diagnosis of the individual and the system, is there a way out? Well, the prescription is unconventional, and it definitely doesn't start with a budget.
This is the crucial question, isn't it? If your own biology has been turned against you, how do you even begin to fight back? The answer isn't in a spreadsheet. You have to treat the root cause, not just the financial symptoms.
The solution proposed is a biological protocol designed to rebuild your body from the ground up. First, eliminate the inflammatory foods trapping you in that insulin prison. That's how you clear the brain fog. Master metabolic flexibility, training your body to burn both fats and carbs so you're not a slave to sugar. Filter your water to remove xenoestrogens, environmental chemicals that mess with your hormones. Lift heavy weights to naturally restore testosterone. Then, on the financial side, you fight the system's design. You reintroduce friction by using physical cash, which makes spending feel real again. And you automate your savings, outsourcing willpower so your recovering brain doesn't have to fight that battle every day.
And this brings us to the ultimate paradigm shift. Money isn't a drug to make you happy, it's a tool to buy freedom from stress. The biologically bankrupt use money for a temporary dopamine hit, which just guarantees more cortisol later. The wealthy, however, use money to build a fortress of security, lowering their cortisol for good.
So if you take just one thing away from this, let it be this. You cannot outthink a broken endocrine system. You cannot hustle your way out of chronic inflammation. The path to financial freedom doesn't start with a business plan. It starts with reclaiming your chemical birthright. The real fight begins within.